Biomega is a cyberpunk action manga created by Tsutomu Nihei. Now, after Kentaro Miura, he is by far my favorite mangaka. In the 90s, he created Blam, and that is my second favorite manga of all time. I just love the atmosphere, the artwork, the world that he creates. It's just so inventive and creative and absolutely awesome. I just love everything about it. It's got this gothic, cybernetic horror vibe that I just absolutely love. Now, if you've read Blam before, you're going to notice a lot of similarities. They mention Toa Industries, and even the main character Zoyuchi kind of looks like Killy from Blam. But according to Nihei, it's a standalone story. Now, I will give you fair warning, this manga is very complex. There's a lot going on, and very little of it is explained. Every once in a while at the beginning of chapters, he does provide a brief summarization of what's going on. But even then, it's still very hard to follow. So do your best, guys. I know it's going to be tough at times, but trust me, it's worth it. I just love the atmosphere and the artwork so much. It really grabs me, and it just really makes me excited. And before we actually start the story itself, if you guys could subscribe to the channel and my Instagram account, I would absolutely love you guys for that. We just recently hit 100,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. So thanks again, guys, and enjoy the video. 3005 AD, after 700 years, humans have successfully landed in Mars. Two unknown people surveil an area that once housed humans. While looking around, one of the explorers finds a woman who can breathe air without a mask. It is now half a year later, and we are back on Earth. A man on a motorcycle comes to a large gate, saying he's here to help with the exorcism project. He's allowed to enter the city, but to leave, he'll need the approval of the authority. He then comes upon some zombie-like creatures called drones, as he drives by them super fast. Unfortunately, because of this evasive maneuver, he ends up knocking down a girl in the process. Zoyuchi, the main character of our story, attempts to take them out, but a large one easily manhandles him from behind. The drones look to feed upon the girl, but Zoyuchi takes them all out with his linear accelerator handgun. Now, as Zoyuchi goes to help out the girl, her mangled leg heals on its own, suggesting that she's not completely human. A bear with a rifle then tells Zoyuchi to throw away his weapon and to stay away from the girl. The bear says that Zoichi is a homunculus, and that it's useless to exterminate the drones as there's too many of them. The bear then takes his leave with the girl, as Zoichi is unable to stop him. Now, it turns out that the girl's name is Aeon Green, and she's infected with the N5S virus. But unlike the other people that we saw, she seems normal. She's not a zombie. Zoichi locates a building belonging to Aeon Green's grandfather. Drones surround the 7th MSCF, creating a lot of turmoil in the city. Curfews are put in place to protect the citizenry, as it looks like this is going to be a long-term measure. The bear watching over Aeon Green is visited by an inspector. The inspector becomes impatient, as it looks like Aeon Green has fled the area. Elsewhere, while standing in a large building, Aeon watches the various drones on the street. The inspector then bursts into the building, dead set on finding the bear. A shockwave emanates from the building in question, as Zoichi decides to make his way over there. The inspector calls out the bear, as the latter chucks something at his head. Unfortunately for the bear, it's not long before the inspector takes the advantage. Zoichi is then stopped by the Public Health Service, as they wonder what he's up to. It's determined that they're being harassed for no reason, so Zoichi takes matters into his own hands by shooting them all dead. He then makes his way over to the building. And just look at this building, guys. I mean, the drawing talent is nonpareil. It is absolutely amazing. For me, I regard Miura and Nihei as like 1A and 1B. They're the best of the best in terms of their craft. There are other artists that come close, but they're just the tops, you know, like they're just on another level from everyone else. Zoichi bursts into the building, riding up the stairs on his motorcycle. The inspector peruses the building, as Aeon Green hides outside the window. Zoichi confronts the inspector, as an epic clash ensues. And again, guys, I'm just gonna gush over the artwork here because god damn, this is some next level stuff. It's not just good, it just creates this dark and gritty atmosphere, and I think that's really hard to capture nowadays. The inspector fires a massive blast at Zoichi, sending the latter straight down to the surface. He grabs onto Aeon Green and proceeds to blow everything up in sight, creating a gigantic inferno. Zoichi replays the fight in his head, as Fuyu, his AI interface, commands him to wake up. With him being out for 71 seconds, they're not close enough anymore, so they just need to evacuate. Zoichi finds the bear from earlier, as he decides to save his life. The bear wakes up as they zoom away from the burning building. Now the bear narrowly falls off of the motorcycle, as Zoichi grabs him while they make their successful escape. Now Aeon Green is N5S adapted, meaning that her body is resistant to the ill effects of the virus. Zoyuchi and Fuyu work for Toa Industries, and their goal was to find and protect the adapted one. But now, it's too late for any of that. Now, something happened to a ship in low orbit, and now in 14 to 15 hours, the virus is going to spread all over the entire surface of the planet. The Data Recovery Foundation, DRF, has found several adapted ones, but they have hidden them off somewhere. They also know that Mars was infected, and they were preparing anti-drone measures from the beginning. Zoyuchi hands Kozlov a comlink, and Kozlov is the bear that we were talking about earlier. He then tells him to call if there's any trouble. They then make their way to Aeon, encountering a horde of drones in the area. Zoyuchi, unafraid, drives into the crowd, slicing up anything that gets in his way. Afterwards, he makes his way to the main gate, as missiles start coming his way. Fuyu opens up the gate as another round of missiles come their way. Zoyuchi jumps the gap, successfully entering the facility. The people inside the facility have become drones as well. After eliminating the drones, Zoyuchi makes his way to the lower levels. He starts firing away as he implores Aeon Green to duck. He then takes out the inspector, but a mysterious entity manages to push him back. They shut the door as Zoyuchi is now unable to reach Aeon Green. Just then, the inspector regenerates his organic parts, suggesting that the DRF has been unlocking the secrets behind the drone cells. That being said, after a short skirmish, Zoyuchi takes the inspector down. Now, before dying, the inspector says that they'll purge the old race and begin the human supplantation project. Fuyu says that 13 ICBMs are to be launched, and they're going for densely populated regions all over the world. Zoyuchi then prepares a large gun, as the missiles start taking off. We are then transported to Toa Industries HQ. Unfortunately, this looks like it's going to be the end. Dr. Kurokawa is questioned about the weapon he gave to Zoyuchi, the very weapon that's interfering with their plans. Now, to get the information that they want, they even threaten the doctor's daughter. Fuyu tells Zoyuchi that Toa has fallen, as a fighter jet then starts attacking them. Zoyuchi hijacks the fighter jet, using it to launch a counter-offensive against the DRF. After taking out the 40th Armed Battalion, Zoyuchi continues wreaking havoc throughout the city. He then makes his way to Toa Industries, in an attempt to save Dr. Kurokawa's daughter. Unfortunately, the DRF agent was lying in wait for him. "I didn't think we'd meet so soon, Kuno Zoyuchi," says the man. In a flashback, we learn that Zoyuchi was the first synthetic human. Now, instead of cramming a bunch of information into his head, they let his brain undergo a tutor process. Essentially, they experience all the stages of mental growth in a simulation, if you will. So 1 year in the tutor is equivalent to 50 years in the real world. Now, Kurokawa's daughter would serve the role of mother. Back in real time, Zoyuchi struggles keeping up with the monstrous men from the DRF. The man lunges at Zoyuchi, but the latter blasts a hole into his chest, putting him down for the count. Before dying, the man says that Dr. Kurokawa's daughter is now an N5S drone. 700 years ago on Mars, the N5S virus was discovered by accident, leading to mass extinction. And because of this, people can't live on Mars anymore. Mother believes the DRF wants to use the secrets of the virus for their own benefit. Fuyu informs her that she's connected through Zoichi's helmet, which means she doesn't have long to live because she's infected. Mother then says goodbye, as we see Zoyuchi coddling her in the real world. On the 26th of February, 3000 AD, the HQ of Toa Industries self-destructs. The Public Health Service confirms that a worldwide drone hazard is now a fact. Succeedingly, the Data Recovery Foundation, DRF, declares itself the United World Government. Zoichi's mission is now simple. He must track down Aeon Green and stop the DRF. And just in case you're wondering, the Public Health Service is a subsidiary of the DRF, so they're working hand in hand. Fuyu says that Aeon's chromosomes are completely even, which means she was never infected. Fuyu then identifies a plane that carried away Aeon Green. As Zoyuchi prepares to go in, Kozlov is now working with Fuyu. She shows him the poisonless virus that the DRF will now use on themselves to be reborn as new humans. Just then, the train is attacked by drones, forcing Kozlov to flee for his life. Unfortunately, a patrol officer blocks his escape. Someone then takes out the officer, but it's not Zoyuchi. Rather, it's someone called Mizuno, a new synthetic human from Toa Industries with the name of Mizuno. Patrol officers fire the weapons at the two, putting them into some danger. Mizuno uses her gun to take out the electric train, putting them out of commission for good. Kozlov then hops onto the motorcycle as the two make their escape. The patrol officer continues making their lives difficult, as the train then gets separated. And because of this, it allows them to make a clean escape, as Mizuno wonders if Kozlov is okay. Mizuno formally introduces herself and says she's placing Kozlov under arrest. Now, 734 years ago, a company by the name of Microvolt was founded. They conducted research in the field of immortality. They even offered life prolongment through brain transplantation. Now, they changed their name multiple times across the years, and they're currently known as the DRF. The Mizuno group is searching for one of the original founders who still seems to be alive, Grigorovich Grebnev. While Zoyuchi searches for Aeon Green, Fuyu says that she's being held in the intercontinental mooring cable. When Zoyuchi makes his way there, unfortunately, it's determined that it was a trace trap, meaning that Zoyuchi is in some trouble. The DRF's most fearsome assassins raid Zoyuchi. Now with Fuyu shut down, Zoichi's gonna have to win this battle on his own. His gun is ineffective, as he gets impaled by some sharp spikes. Now to make sure that he doesn't fight back, the DRF looks to amputate his limbs. That being said, the device can't cut through him. Zoyuchi then gets up and starts going on a killing spree. Despite taking out the weaker members, the main one still stands in his way. The battle rages on as we are then transported to the 3rd MSCF. News then comes in that Zoyuchi escaped, as Cardall's Spindle is none so happy. She then says hunting down the remnants of Toa Heavy Industries is top priority. Fuyu then comes back online, as Zoyuchi is dead set on heading towards the intercontinental mooring cable. The DRF commits numerous heinous acts, as Kozlov wonders what they are trying to do. He then wonders if his old man is responsible for the current state of the world. Unable to take the depravity, Kozlov starts firing at the DRF, and this forces Mizuno to get him out of there. Mizuno then informs Kozlov that Zoichi is going to rescue Aeon Green from the Continental Mooring Cable, which sounds rather insane. At the Continental Mooring Cable, a group of 3 people greet an extremely powerful patrol officer, and his name is Higa. Now on their way here, one of the officers noticed Zoichi, but they made no moves against him. Elsewhere, Zoichi draws ever closer, as a new threat starts approaching him. Zoichi races through the streets, attempting to evade his unknown assailant. He gets far enough ahead to take it out. Unfortunately, a man with a rifle gets a direct hit on him. Unfazed by this, Zoichi quickly exacts his revenge by taking him out. He then later saves a girl named Cardall from some drones. The same Cardall that wants to take him down, by the way. He instructs her to rest as we can see that he's infected with some kind of poison. Now it turns out it came from one of the patrol officer's bullets. Cardall then says that the human species general conversion plan is ready, and that the DRF will complete their Mars research soon. She says if he goes to the Continental Geostationary Satellite, he'll just die needlessly. Now Dr. Grebnev discovered that Aeon Green was immortal almost 2 centuries ago. She has 24 chromosomes, and this only happened once before with someone else, someone called Rirido. People from Microvolt then go to collect Narain. Now we find out from Dr. Wildenstein that Naildi is the overlord of the DRF. The man calls out Wildenstein for his unethical experiments, as he's then transported to a far-off land. Narain tortures the man's comrades, since they interfered with the battle. The man takes up the sword to fight him, but soon gets his own head cut off. We then go to the DRF HQ, where a woman is looking off in the distance. So basically what was happening here is Narain, who's part of the Public Health Service, which is a subsidiary of the DRF, was acting outside of his boundaries. And now that's going to create some conflict between the 2 organizations. Mizuno and Kozlov then prepare themselves to find Dr. Grebnev. They eventually find a different doctor, as he determines that the virus can affect Kozlov's body. If they have any hope of saving the world, they must locate Dr. Grebnev. Just then, they come under attack as the situation looks pretty dire. Mizuno instructs them to run as she fires her gun at the threat. The battle rages on, as Mizuno hops onto the back wing for a ride. She then tears through it as it comes crashing down back to the earth. Drones surround the area, as the doctor doesn't want them to go near a certain liquid. Unfortunately, they go inside, causing a rapid transformation that forces the main party to flee the area. In fact, it's not long before the entire city is engulfed by this monstrous entity. Everyone turned into drones. There are no more people. The dream turns nightmarish, as Zoichi wakes up shortly afterwards. Fuyu informs him that his body should have discharged the poison now. Now the drug the girl shot at him had a neutralizing effect, as Zoichi decides to resume his mission. The doctor informs Mizuno that the liquid is the reserve morphic polymer. He also reveals that he worked in the DRF's Research and Development Division, i.e. the R&D. Now it turns out that the liquid is alive, and it reacts to non-living materials. It absorbs them and reconfigures their base matter. He proposes that Naildi wants to use it to improve the Earth's environment, Therefore, their plan is to release the liquid and retreat to the Continental Geostationary Satellite. Elsewhere, we find out that HQ intends to activate the Continental Geostationary Satellite, and that Naildi is on her way. Cardinal Spindle makes her way back to the Public Health Department, which as we know is a subsidiary of the DRF. Now because she works for the Public Health Department, we have to be asking ourselves a question here. Why didn't she kill Zoyuchi when she had the chance? Meanwhile, we see that the DRF are making preparations for reforming the Earth. Dr. Wildenstein wants to test out a cerebral projectile accelerator. As the powerful weapon fires, various personnel are knocked out by the electrical discharge. Now the weapon is a cerebral projectile accelerator, so I'm wondering if they're using the brain power of many of the people here to sort of fuel the weapon. Fuyu determines that Aeon Green's brainwaves are at MSCF3, as Zoyuchi must make haste. Naildi's mechs start attacking the massive gun, as Dr. Wildenstein decides to make an exit. Some mysterious bird-like mechs start emerging onto the scene, as things get utterly chaotic. So remember how Narain, who's part of the Public Health Department, was attacking members of the DRF? Yeah, that's kinda coming around to bite him now. Zoyuchi and Fuyu catch a glimpse from the distance, as they wonder what's going on. As Zoyuchi enters the scene, he wonders why the two organizations are at odds with one another. While Cardinal receives attention for her wounds, she finds out that the DRF has broken into the inner wall. Narain is transferring his consciousness to a new body, while Higa continues battling the DRF head-on. Fuyu verifies that the DRF has invaded the PHS, and their ship's armor is enough to stop the reverse morphic polymer. Zoyuchi stops and lines up his shot on the DRF warship. While the destruction continues, Naildi is informed that Aeon Green has been located. Now she wants Aeon Green to be killed immediately. Furthermore, she wants the remnants of Toa Industries taken care of as well. The DRF invades the PHS fortress as Cardinal is tasked with protecting Aeon Green. Someone known as the Guardian of the Left looks to terminate Aeon Green. Zoyuchi manages to place an explosive on the man's body, putting an end to things. Go, but Aeon Green stays with me, says Zoyuchi. Cardinal relents, as Fuyu wonders if Zoyuchi is going to let the others die like that. General Narain's consciousness is transferred to another host, as Naildi and her troops burst in on the scene. She criticizes Narain's attempts to live forever, as we then find out that Naildi is the second oldest person living in the world, which is kind of ironic in a way. Narain's mangled body says that Naildi's plan was rejected, and they'll revert to the original model proposed by Dr. Grebnev. Now Naildi plans to use the reverse morphic polymer to build a new world order. And while she explains this to him, Narain passes away from his wounds. A scene unlike any other. The ruined remains of mankind arise out of the darkness. Dr. Wildenstein has discovered a way to inhibit the adverse side effects of the N5S virus. He claims that his research is now complete, and that he administered the new virus to a new synthetic human. Just then, Wildenstein's head is sliced in half. Fuyu detects a massive brainwave surge, as a huge explosion takes place. Narain's new body emerges from the rubble, as Naildi wants him eliminated. I am the immortal Narain. I now call home all those who have undergone the baptism of the drone hazard. All those who have been separated from their true perpetual form. I call them to let their brains awaken. The DRF starts dropping drones as a catalyst for the reverse phase imaging polymer. Narain starts touching the drones, turning them back into regular humans again. Zoyuchi wants Naildi to rescind the order of deploying the reverse phase imaging polymer. That, unfortunately, is impossible, as 7,000 drones have already been released all over the world. While this goes on, Narain's body starts going through some weird transformation. He now starts attacking everyone nearby him indiscriminately, using intense brainwave surges. Now, if Narain remains in this current condition, the continental mooring cable won't remain unaffected for long. When Fuyu travels inside of his brain, she realizes that his true self is gone, which means she'll now have to mend him. Narain tells Fuyu that she cannot let Aeon Green go near the reverse phase imaging polymer. Not yet, at least. Things in the real world become increasingly chaotic, as Naildi wants the escaping ships taken down. Aircrafts go in after Cardinal's ship, while Zoyuchi provides assistance from the side. Naildi's mechs then land on the ship, as Cardinal is now in a precarious situation. While leaving the Earth's atmosphere, another motorcycle like Zoyuchi's comes onto the scene, and it's none other than Mizuno. Zoyuchi decides to hand Aeon Green over to Cardinal, while him and Mizuno fight off the DRF's forces. Narain then tells Fuyu that 700 years ago, an insect was found on Mars. It soon became apparent the tiny lifeform was a host to a parasitic microbe. At the same time, a girl with a genome radically different from the norm was found on Earth, and her name was Rirado, or Reload depending on the translation. Now the weird thing about her body is that she could create small amounts of pollen-like plant matter. The material binding the particles turned out to be the reverse-phase imaging polymer. It's the same polymer in the Martian insect. The cause of the disaster was the parasites adapting to human physiology, the drone hazard. Now 200 years later, Naildi was born, and she could understand everything she touched and could read the minds of living creatures. Everything affected by the polymer is changed in accordance with some sort of code. The ovule ripens according to the wishes of the host. Narain says that a special kind of spore is inside of Aeon Green's body, and when he defeats Naildi, he wants the spores spread across the Earth and the drones turn back into humans again. Naildi invades the dreamlike space, reminding Fuyu that Narain ordered for the destruction of Toa Heavy Industries. "There will be no place for ugly man-made things like you in the new world," says Naildi to Fuyu. A giant lump starts emerging from the surface of the Earth, as Zoyuchi and Mizuno do their best to avoid it. Naildi has begun the pollination process of the Earth, which means that it might share in the same fate as Mars. In a flashback, Naildi and Narain explore Dr. Grebnev's office, finding a locket with Rirado's face on it. Naildi then inspects a collection of seeds, as we are then transported back to the present. Narain grabs onto Naildi, determining that she really did take the seeds for herself. Zoyuchi then uses his gun to fire a direct shot through Naildi's body. Now, with a gigantic hole in the middle of her face, it looks like things are finally over. But Cardall claims that she is not dead yet. Now, before she died, she transferred her consciousness over to Narain's body, giving her complete control. A collection of tentacles start going after our main duo, as Zoyuchi tells Mizuno to protect the ships. Zoyuchi henceforth uses his rifle to blast the monstrous entity away. Things, however, are far from over, as Naildi continues attacking them with Narain's monstrous body. Zoyuchi attempts to put a stop to things, as it seems like his gun is now ineffective. Narain's body then fires off a massive blast directed at Aeon Green's ship. Naildi's puppet attacks Aeon's ship. The blast deflects off of Mizuno and goes straight for the ship. Luckily, Cardall comes in the nick of time to provide some necessary assistance. Despite this, Naildi's plan to fertilize the ovule with Aeon Green's pollen succeeds. With her plan coming to fruition, Naildi plans to eliminate everyone that has oppressed her. Basically everyone on Earth at this point. A focused brainwave penetrates the planet, as the ovule starts reacting as it's being pollinated. The entire planet starts undergoing a transformation, as the recreator starts budding outwards. The recreator's explosive growth is changing the entire Earth. Now, you may be asking yourself an important question at this point. What exactly is the recreator, and what the hell happened to all our main characters? Well, that's a great question. And I hope you like getting confused even more, because things are about to get really wild. The recreator starts separating from the Earth itself, as Zoyuchi attempts to ride away on his motorcycle. After making his escape, Zoyuchi wonders what happened to the Earth. Fuyu inspects the region, determining that they're not even in the same solar system at this point. Now, the recreator is immeasurably long, and they're outside of the communication range of all the others. The two then find a computer terminal, finding out that the recreator is 4,800,000,000 kilometers in length. Zoyuchi then starts firing upon an unknown organism hiding within the recreator itself, as it swallows Fuyu's motorcycle body. Zoyuchi fires a blast at the creature, and makes his way inside the structure itself. While making his way through, it's not long before the monstrous creature starts attacking him. The motorcycle with Fuyu bursts out of the monster, as she tells Zoyuchi that it has a brain similar to an AI. The situation gets even more dire, as Zoyuchi flees the area as fast as possible. Zoyuchi wonders how the recreator could create its own ecosystem so quickly, as there are still numerous unanswered questions. They then notice that the DRF is chasing some people, so they make their way over there post-haste. Zoyuchi attempts to make conversation, but they simply fire upon him. Zoyuchi is then forced to take out their vehicle. Upon questioning them, the beings speak an unknown language, and have very extreme body modifications. Zoyuchi asks about Naildi, but due to the machine's resistance, he's forced to shoot it down. Zoyuchi then catches up with the people who are being chased, as one of them was shot by the DRF. Fuyu determines that the two are cyborgs, as Zoyuchi wants to establish a cerebro-synchronous link. Fuyu establishes the link to learn the creature's language. Fuyu then asks Ya what happened to Earth and what year it is, but Ya doesn't know what she's referring to. Back in the physical realm, mechanoids infest Zoyuchi's motorcycle. Though they can still ride it, it won't last forever. Butsu, the other android, then invites them to their village. They then come across a town called Jogoto. Now the DRF is tearing up the cord, i.e. the recreator, for all sorts of different things. Fuyu determines that Ya and Butsu's bodies are covered by some liquid, and it was that same liquid covering Earth at the very end. Now despite the fact that they're androids, they're able to self-propagate, just like a normal human being. In fact, they even claim to be human. The four continue their trek. Unfortunately, they're attacked by another strange creature. After Zoyuchi saves Butsu's life, they finally make it to the entrance of the village. This new world was constructed by the recreator-based information of Earth. But Fuyu wonders whose wish did the recreator fulfill? The group then makes their treacherous descent, as it looks like jellyfish are surrounding them. And again guys, just another set of phenomenal panels by Nihei. Now unfortunately, the village seems to have disappeared. They eventually track it down, as Fuyu determines that they all have the same body composition as Butsu and Ya. Ya then reveals that the village is almost 200 years old. Some elders say that Earth is the primal sea, and it's part of an ancient religion. Sometime later, they head to the LMF supply node to find some fuel for Zoichi's motorcycle. A mechoid attacks them, but Zoyuchi takes it out in one shot. Later on, Zoyuchi learns that Naildi lives far away, and she's reached the limits of life extension. Ya then receives medical attention, as one of the elders wonders what happened to the two of them in Jogoto. Now it turns out that the two were miners, and they were to dig up natural resources within the tree pipe belt. A transfer order then came in for Ya, and 4 cycles later, she was pregnant. After becoming pregnant, she began having visions of the future. One vision revealed that after she gave birth, she would be killed. Just then, a mysterious person from the DRF enters the village. It's a patrol officer, and he starts taking everyone out in short order. Zoyuchi has seen enough, so he comes charging in with his pistol in hand. The patrol officer shoots a massive blast out of his mouth, forcing Zoyuchi to take evasive action. The onslaught continues, as Zoyuchi looks to be in a fair amount of trouble. In fact, we can see the various mechanical components beneath his skin. Fuyu raises a cephalic protection membrane so that Zoyuchi can continue fighting. It doesn't matter, however, as a patrol officer captures Zoichi's head with a large mechanical device. Unable to watch this any further, Ya gives herself up. With this, the patrol officer takes her away, as Butsu is powerless to do anything. An overwhelming discrepancy in skill. What will you do, Zoyuchi? In the aftermath of the battle, Zoyuchi is left to wonder where the patrol officer took Ya. With Ya in possession of the DRF, they want to conduct a surgery immediately, and they want to do it to remove the baby. While this goes on, Zoyuchi bursts through a wall on his motorcycle, ready to recover Ya. He starts mowing everyone down, as the surgery is already well underway. Zoyuchi kidnaps the head DRF member and Ya's embryo, demanding to know why the embryo is so special. The man says that it's the recreator's child. Now Naildi has expanded the environments which are safe for humans, and soon she will become the recreator's true ruler. Zoyuchi has heard enough of this rambling, deciding to chuck him at an obelisk-like structure. Now out of Ya's womb comes a homunculus-like being, a being that is already capable of language. She reminds Zoyuchi that even though her mother died, he is not to blame for this. Now even though Naildi's mind has become strongly intertwined with the recreator's nervous system, taking complete control has failed. In fact, her ego is slowly being absorbed by the recreator itself. Word then comes in that Toa Industries has abducted the recreator's child. And on that day, after a half a century, the DRF overlord, Naildi, reawakes. A woman interfusing with the Earth, becoming Earth's leading figurehead. Naildi's constituent manifestation comes forward, wowing all the citizenry. Vestiges start falling off from Naildi's body, and the material itself causes the citizenry to turn into mechanized creatures. Upon this happening, the DRF wastes no time in eliminating them. Now Naildi is able to telepathically locate the daughter of Ya, as the daughter is able to do likewise. One of Naildi's manifestations starts chasing Zoyuchi, as the synthetic human is forced to run away. Now this part gets a little bit confusing, but it appears the little girl is using her telepathic energy, along with Zoichi's gun, to take down the monstrous creature. After the creature is taken down, Naildi's body starts melting away. We then find out that Naildi's original body is in a comatose state, while the constituent manifestations are lapsing. Now while Zoyuchi rests up, he tells Fuyu that he wants to protect the recreator's child. He wants to do it at all cost. A man then lands in a far-off kingdom, and this man is none other than Higa. You know, the guy from earlier in the manga. The princess of the land speaks of an oracle who is immortal, a being who defiled the land and caused genetic diseases. All attempts to fight him have failed, but now a savior has come. It is said that one day a star will take the form of a human and come to their country. Now, for some strange reason, Higa's arm has become transparent. Despite this, the princess could still feel it. The two then engage each other in a passionate display. Sometime later, Higa finds out that the princess was taken away by the Oracle. So he makes a move to rescue her. And he does exactly that. Unfortunately, his entire body turns transparent, meaning that he's completely invisible. Funipero, the small homunculus-like girl, decides to turn invisible and escape from Zoyuchi's grasp. She makes her way to a village and meets up with Bobokill. Now, the town was built by some weird excavating machine, but because a foul smoke appeared everywhere, everyone except him died. Funipero says in order for Naildi to increase the recreator's influence, she altered the power lines. After some time, one of Naildi's disciples comes to the village to meet with Funipero. Are you the one that's been taking care of her? The DRF will reward your good work. Now then, just give her to me, says the disciple. Bobokill does not wish to comply, so the disciple of the DRF morphs his hand and looks to take Funipero by force. Zoyuchi then comes in and blasts the man's arm off with his gun. The disciple manages to restrain Zoyuchi, and even forces him to kill Bobokill with a shot to the head. Angered by this, a bunch of tentacles emerge from Funipero's backside, as she impales the disciple from multiple angles. Naildi is not the world's savior. Her treachery has already... Just then, Funipero loses control over her new transformation, and it's because she pushed herself too hard. The disciple then uses a diffusion thought particle to sprout a huge mechanized creature. Zoyuchi saves Funipero, activating his protective equipment and taking out the monster in spectacular fashion. And with this, Zoyuchi and Funipero decide to go on their way. Now, as a brief recap, the recreator is 4.8 billion kilometers long, and although it was created from absorbing all of Earth's life forms, it's an entirely different structure from what the Earth was. And then these are the mechanoid human forms, people who live on the recreator. They call themselves humans, and to them, the old world, Earth, is nothing more but a mere legend. Naildi, as we know, is the DRF overlord. She destroyed Earth to create a new world. She has since then existed on the recreator for at least 1,000 years. Her real body is kept deep underneath the recreator in the 12th sector, but she can reawaken by constituent manifestations at MSCF. Funipero is the child of the recreator. She is the existence that Naildi needs to become the true lord of the recreator, and she's currently under Zoyuchi's protection. And then the last ray of hope for humanity is the synthetic human, Zoyuchi. Elsewhere, a father comes home to his family in a mangled state, and it's not long before the zombie-like father bites into the mother's neck, putting her down. But instead of being dead, she goes through a transformation, turning her into a mechanized creature, the same one that Naildi was turning the people into. The little girl goes through the town looking for some help, but that's when she finds out that everyone's been turned into zombie-like creatures, much like the drones of Earth. Her brother approaches her from the rear, as she then loses consciousness. Now, sometime later, we learn that she was saved by Zoyuchi's gang. Despite how dire things look, Fuyu says that everyone in town is being treated, so there's nothing to worry about. This, however, was all just a simulated experience created by Fuyu, and it was all a means to learn what happened to the town, and to ease the girl's pain. Zoyuchi confirms that the people in the town turned into drones, and that there's no way to return things back to the way they were. The girl and the father then look to attack them in their drone form, so Zoyuchi is forced to put them down. They then tell Funipero that their planet shared in the same fate, and it seems like the recreator will do the same thing to all its inhabitants. The tale of a traveling bear. We now see things from Kozlov's perspective after the recreator sprouted. They're attacked by one of the strange monsters, as they wonder what exactly is going on. It's not long before Kozlov and the doctor are surrounded by a horde of drones, forcing them to flee. A strange creature starts taking out the drones, directing them towards a safe path. After making their escape, they traverse their way down to a small village. Tyra discovers a signal from Toa Industries, meaning that either Zoyuchi or Mizuno are on the recreator, but they are very, very far away. Funipero then sprouts out of nowhere to greet Kozlov and Tyra. This body is just a constituent manifestation. My real body is in a different location. These clothes are just an imitation of Fuyu's, says Funipero. Now, it turns out that Zoyuchi has been fighting to save the humans on the recreator for over 400 years already. They destroyed the MSCF until the 11th sector, and Naildi is definitely getting weaker. Now, what's left is her real body in the 12th sector, but that will still take many years. Now, Kozlov's father, Grebnev, was the first one to realize Naildi's ambitions. Funipero then says that the new world was made according to Kozlov's wishes, and that it's completely different from Earth. Kozlov will now make a trek to Zoyuchi. A couple of people from Zolkans then go to a town to ask for some directions. On their travels, they arrive at an area that is several thousand years old. In fact, everything is degrading. After making contact with some of the locals, they impart some gifts to establish good relations. At nighttime, one of the women offers herself up to the men. In addition, she gives them some valuable information. The next day, she takes them to a shrine where they make offerings every single day. The name of the ruins was the Continental Mooring Cable, and the name of the immortal girl was Aeon Green. We then learn that the inspectors of the DRF have been living underground ever since Zoyuchi started terrorizing them. In a strange turn of events, the drones have all gathered around and began to bloom into antenna-like structures. In a city-like area, Zoyuchi is seen fighting some of the members of the DRF. After taking them all out, Fuyu confirms that this is the last MSCF. Due to Zoyuchi's influence, the flow within the pipes have reversed, causing it to explode. When Fipro arrives on the scene, everyone starts firing upon her, but it's no use. And after taking out all the grunts, Fipro finally comes face to face with the overlord of the DRF, Naildi. Naildi wants to become one with Fipro, but Fipro claims that she will die. "You are not my mother. I won't let you remake the world a second time." The two lunge into each other, with Naildi's body getting sliced in half at the torso. Zoyuchi then comes in to take out some members from the DRF with his massive gun. He breaches their defenses, as they are confused as to how this could have happened. He then flies in with his motorcycle, obliterating everything that crosses his path. But that doesn't stop the onslaught, as he continues slicing and dicing everything in his path. Unfortunately, he gets stabbed in the chest, as Fuyu implores him to keep running. A massive explosion ensues, as Fipro tells Zoyuchi that Naildi is now dead. "So, you wish to save the people. But, are they even humans in the first place? No. Should I grant your true desires?" says Naildi. Zoyuchi shoots the imposter, as a giant, distorted face comes out and sprouts into a human-like construct. I mean, seriously, look at this thing. It looks like something out of Evangelion. Zoyuchi calls out Fipro, as she claims that it's already too late. "It seems you still haven't realized it. You're the one who was too late. It was very difficult hiding it, especially in his presence." We then go over to Kozlov, who says that he's here to defeat Naildi. Unfortunately, the entrance won't open. Now get ready to have your mind blown, because the bear that we knew as Kozlov was actually Dr. Grebnev. Now it turns out that Dr. Grebnev extended his own life through surgery, but to attain immortality and eternal youth, he fertilized one of Aeon Green's eggs with his own DNA. The child that was born from this was immortal, and Dr. Grebnev transplanted his own brain to that body, i.e. Kozlov's body. The following year, a large-scale data terrorism incident occurred on Earth, and it resulted in all the world's digital records being lost. As civilization began to decline, Dr. Grebnev began his project to restore the lost data, and this was known as the Data Recovery Foundation, i.e. the DRF. And it was all a means for Dr. Grebnev to go to Mars. He wanted to get back to Rirado, whom he loved. Fipro instructs Kozlov to press the switch, while Zoyuchi starts firing upon the larger construct. Now this part gets really confusing, and I'm not entirely certain what's going on here. But the man that we thought that was Higa saves Aeon Green, and she refers to him as Kozlov. Yeah, she's referring to him as the bear. Now we know that Dr. Grebnev transplanted his brain to Kozlov's body. Is it possible he also did the same to Higa? Or was Kozlov's brain transported to Higa's body? We just don't really know. Now because Kozlov pressed the button, it triggered a reaction with 2 rings, and those rings destroyed all the drones on the recreator. Zoyuchi begs for Fipro not to die, as the reaction is well underway. And after this cataclysmic event, some time passes away. Kozlov then meets with Aeon Green, dressed in a bear costume. Fipro tells him that Zoyuchi is headed to the 3rd sector, and it's there they'll be able to use some equipment from the old world to repair Fuyu to her former state. An indiscriminate amount of time passes by, and we have a scene reminiscent of the first chapter of the manga. We're back on Mars again. An unknown man stares at the immortal Rirado, as he then pulls off his space helmet. "Rirado, it's me." And that's the end of the manga, guys. Now, although it's a bit ambiguous, it's highly likely that this man is Dr. Grebnev. It's assumed that he achieved immortality and that the universe operates on a cyclical theory, one in which the universe undergoes endless cycles of expansion and cooling. And in this way, the Big Bang is not the beginning. It's just the start of a new cycle. And the reason that I believe this is that Nihei used a similar plot device in his critically acclaimed Blam. So yeah, basically Dr. Grebnev achieved immortality and lived for the entire length of the universe, only to go back again to Rirado's timeline when she was back on Mars. Pretty crazy stuff. Now, this is one of my favorite manga of all time, and you may be wondering to yourself why that is. The story is very complex, the characters are sort of weird and not really explored, and yeah, it's just kind of a different feeling manga. I mean, for me, I love Nihei's work because of the atmosphere and the artwork. I feel like he has a unique way of telling a story through the artwork alone, through his dynamic action sequences. It just feels so immersive and so authentic. And there's very few mangaka that can pull that off. I realize it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, you know, it's just the bee's knees. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this. If you've got the time, please subscribe to the channel, check out my Patreon account, and I'll catch you on the next one.